Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this conversation that we are going to be having, myself and Jacqueline, about sound and the healing power of sound, the healing power of sound therapy, sound vibration, and anything really to do with sound as a healing tool. So my name is Gigi, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a sound therapist and a women's empowerment and embodiment guide. And I really am very passionate about sound healing because it was the first modality that I used on my own personal healing journey. So I'm really excited to talk about it. And I'm here with Jacqueline.
Hello, Gigi. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Jacqueline Shahzadee Heeb, and I am the owner of Soul Goddess, Dharma and Life Purpose Coaching, and I'm a sound therapist and a Nada Yoga teacher, and Nada Yoga is the yoga of sound.
Ooh, that just gave me chills. Oh, thank you for being here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because both of us have had journeys with sound, our own personal journeys with sound, and I would love to hear how it arrived for you, the sound as a healing tool.
Yeah, for me, it's perhaps I think 2004. I mean, I loved always sound and music and everything. But then I started to, I learned to know Elisabeth Dierlich, and she is the co-founder of the Peter Hess therapy. And originally I wanted to do, get certified with Peter Hess, which is in Germany and Europe a very well-known sound healing modality. But I was in contact with her because she was like the Swiss, how you say, the Swiss teacher. So, and then they changed, so they separated. So I came in contact with her, and I realized while he was more in the knowledge of the sound therapy, he was more in the science. So she was more the person who went to Nepal, who went to Tibet, who went to India, and was really studying sound there and talking to the people. And she had all this spiritual wisdom and knowledge which she shared. So I decided to get a certification with her, even if it was less known. But I just loved how she taught as a person. And yeah, I got there in contact with singing bowls and with the gong. But especially also with the energies, how you shift with sound therapy, the energies. So she worked a lot with sacred geometry. So using sound like with the singing bowls in different direction, like forming triangles, like the Shiva and Shakti triangles, and working with it, working with fear, removing fear out of the body. And I started to work there, and I worked as a therapist, like a multiple certified therapist in Switzerland first. I had my day spa there, which was more like a healing place. And before I came to Australia, and I learned in 2018, I went to Rishikesh and went to the Nada Yoga School to study Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound. And in Nada Yoga we say Nada Brahma, which is, we can translate, it's not a wordly translation, but it means something like all what is sound and vibration, it's frequency. So And at the moment, I'm started to write a book about sound healing.
Woo.
So I'm very excited about this. And another point also was in Switzerland, I got in contact with the now deceased Ulrich Kübeng. He was the founder of AOM, which is the Ancient Oriental Music Therapy. He was a Sufi, and I learned also more about this, which is another way of sound healing.
That's beautiful. What kind of way is that different to the others?
So the AOM, the Ancient Oriental Music Therapy, is around 600 years old. And it was in the region between Turkey, Persia to Samarkand, Persia, in all these regions. And it works with makams, which is a tonality a little bit where you can say like ragas in the Indian music. And this tonalities, these makams, which work with several notes, which means the tonality, they work on different sicknesses, or they work on different moods. It's like the raga is like a mood. It's like a morning raga is for the morning. You have also ragas in the Indian music for like a healing system, which a lot of people don't know. But you have it also in the Ancient Oriental Music Therapy. And they had even hospitals where people got treated like you had it was a little bit like in a cave. You had in the middle normally like a fountain, because water plays also the sound of water in a very important role in it. And people played on these old instruments, string instruments, ney, etc. And the rooms, the beds were open around it, arranged, and they played the makam, which was best for the patients to heal them. So you can use them for mental health problems, you can use them for physical health problems. So you used really these specific makams, these tonalities for various health issues.
That's so fascinating and specific, isn't it? Because sometimes people would think, well, how can, sound be so specific? But it's actually quite mathematical, like geometry, and you can work with it in that way. And I think that that's a very kind of powerful point actually to talk about, because whenever I share about sound healing, it always feels like this big thing. What is sound healing? It just sounds like the kind of idea of it seems so big, yet you can get so specific with sound, can't you? And you can work, on the body specifically with the different frequencies of the singing bowls and the gongs that relate to the different chakras, which is the modality that I learned when I was in Indonesia, in Bali, in I think 2015. And that was all about working with the different chakras, with the different bowls, the different frequencies for the different chakras. So working on balancing and cleansing and strengthening each of your chakras, so you could hear through the resonance of the bowl whether your chakra was closed or wobbly or overactive. And I just found that so cool, this whole idea that you could, through the sound of the singing bowl, hear what is going on energetically. And that was something that really kind of, I felt like that was something I always knew. When you're younger, these things intuitively, because you feel you want to be around music, you want to be dancing, you want to be, experiencing vibration, healing vibration, because it feels good in the body. But when I went to do the training, I kind of had this like aha moment of putting it together, that, well, actually what I've been feeling is really true, that you can hear, what's going on in the body through sound, and actually understand like how to heal through the sound. And you can hear when the chakra is opening and the bowl starts to resonate more until the bowl is fully, ringing, and you can feel that the chakra, the energy center, is flowing again. And it just feels, it's just such a beautiful thing.
It's absolutely, and it's really stunning. I mean, we have in old sayings, for example, a lot of people feel, for example, when you come in a room, to explain it, you come in a room and there was a hard discussion, or they had a fight or anything. You come in the room and you think, oh, the energy is thick, it's really stuck, it feels not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't think about this often with music. And as you said, I had the same experience. So when you work with the singing bowl, I love to work with the singing bowls. I don't really like the glass singing bowls. The crystal singing bowls. I really love the old singing bowls. I find them much stronger. And as you said, when you hear it, when you work on a person and the sound changes. So when there is stuck energy, the sound gets really dull. You don't hear really this. And when the energy is good, when it's in flow, the sound gets very, very clear. It gets a clear pitch. It's very comfortable, and you hear, or when it's too much energy, it gets a strange vibration.
Yeah.
You really can feel it. And if we do sound therapy, I think you do the same. We really harmonize it. We harmonize the chakra, we harmonize the aura, we harmonize the whole body with singing bowls, with sound therapy. And I mean, you can work with various instruments, but the goal is always to get rid of stuck energies, to get positive energy in, and it really shifts the energy of a client or of a patient, or our energy if we work for ourselves.
Yeah, it's like cleaning out a pipe is how I see it. A stuck pipe that has like a lot of buildup, and the flow of water is wanting to come up through and clear that pipe, but there's something stuck in the way. There's some kind of debris or something that is keeping the water from flowing. And when we use the singing bowls, we open that up so that the stuck stuff can just flow, and then the whole energy, the whole life force is able to move again. And that's a build-up of emotions, isn't it? If we're not feeling our emotions, we're not feeling the grief or the joy even, or the whatever it is that we're feeling during the day, that can fluctuate so much that it can just build up as stuckness and tension in the body. And especially if we've had traumatic experiences as well, which is really what my experience, the power of sound healing for me was, because I had a lot of traumatic experiences. I wasn't able to deal with them, and I got to a point where I felt sort of frozen and numb and overwhelmed, and I started to have anxiety attacks, panic attacks. My body was saying to me, you need to start moving some energy because we're backed up in here. That's what I felt like. It was like I was up to the top of my head. I was full with these stressful experiences that I'd been through, and I hadn't been able to move them through my body. I was still holding on to a lot of them. And then my body started having anxiety, which was my body telling me, we need to do something about this. And so when I started training with the sound therapy, I had the most amazing experience of release of so much energy and emotions. And the first time I had it, I just cried, just it out of nowhere, it just sort of bubbling up. And I could feel over the whole, experience of working on myself and also learning the modality, that I was just shifting so much energy in myself and also in my life. It's like a clearing, isn't it? It's like coming and doing an energy clearing of just your whole life. Is that you're moving energy within yourself, and then that affects your surroundings. It affects how you relate to relationships in your life and your environment. And I was just feeling how much I was letting go of and shedding that I didn't I didn't realize that I was holding on to. And that's the power of vibration, isn't it? Of shifting things that we might not even be realizing that we're holding on to subconsciously or unconsciously, but the body stores everything. So when you start working with the body and feeling and expressing and allowing those emotions to come through in a safe place, it's absolutely transformational, isn't it?
It is. I mean, what I really realized is, like, all the traumas. I was also, like you said, I was for 2 years after domestic violence, after narcissistic abuse. I was for 2 years in freeze mode. And what really works the best is if you work somatic, and all somatic therapies, like as you said, our whole traumas. And this has not to be something like I experienced with narcissistic abuse, but it can also be something minor, which perhaps happened in childhood, but which is still in our body. So everything what's happened, what really is a traumatic experience for us, it sticks in the body. But the other thing is also, it's not just the traumas, it's also when you have, for example, external things like, for example, toxins also in the body, which are really physical, which stick in the lymph system. So all these things get stuck in our body. And when we use sound, we start to bring a movement again in, because every cell starts to vibrate, every atom starts to vibrate, because we are around 70% is water, and the water goes in resonance with the sounds. So it works in the lymphatic system, it works on the cell system. So all what is stuck goes slowly in move, and it really, and I mean, life is flow. Without flow, there is no life. It's also, when we go back, for example, what is quite interesting is when you go in the Celtic teachings, you may know the meander patterns, or you may know the knots where you have things. This is it's a very old language, and it means it's like it's God's speech. And it's like the Nada Brahma, all what is sound. So you have the same, we say in the beginning was the word, for example, in the Bible. So even there in the Bible was already spoken what power sound has. And the old cultures, all the ancient cultures, they had a lot of knowledge about it, but we totally lost it. So all this, what you see, this flowing meanders or patterns, they are really standing for sound, for vibration, for flow. And also our voice has a lot of power. So the word, or even the unspoken word, already brings up a frequency. And in the Hindu teachings, the goddess Saraswati, for example, she stands for sound. She was called Vak, which is the goddess of speech, sorry. She stands for sound, she stands for knowledge, she stands for dance, she stands for music, she stands for singing, she stands for all of this. She stands for wisdom. But the base is, it's sound starts even on a much higher frequency, even if we can't hear it. It's already sound starts already when we have thoughts about something. It already influences, and this is where when we set, for example, intentions, this is also another way of using sound. It's another way of using frequency. And the teachings go very, very deep, and ancient cultures were very knowledgeable about it. But we lost this wisdom, and we are slowly rediscovering it. And if we use it, if you use, like you said, like with the singing bowls, if you use sound therapy, we really can do a lot of healing. We bring us again in this flow. We bring our body into the flow. We bring our immune system in the flow. We bring relationship. We bring all in the flow, and it's really healing. But also our breath, our intentions, everything what we do is already changing. It has an impact on frequencies. So we have to be really aware about our thoughts, about our thinking, about how we breathe, to really keep all in flow.
Yeah, it's a real dance, isn't it? Because if you think about the ecosystem, and I think a lot about this, how everything is connected and everything is, feeding each other in the earth. And you think about the mycelium, which is sending information underneath, the plants and the flowers and the soil and the trees. And there's this constant flow, isn't there? There's this constant conversation that's happening between everything to keep life moving, to keep, things growing and dying and doing the whole cycle of birth, death, rebirth, which is what keeps us all alive, and how we are interconnected with all of that. And our bodies are like a map, how I see it, of everything else. We're like a smaller version of how the earth works. And so we need to keep our whole body is like a community, isn't it? We need to keep things working together and supporting one another. So our thoughts supporting our, how we feel, our movement supporting how we, want to move forward. Everything is connected, isn't it? When we really can see that, we can work with how we want to actually live. And I think that's possibly one of the most empowering things that I received from sound healing originally, was this awareness that I feel my body. And I think a lot of us are wanting that because we're so overstimulated by information, by social media, by what we're looking at all the time, that it's easy to disconnect from the body. It's easy to numb out. It's easy not to feel, because there's so much that we can distract ourselves with. Whereas with sound healing, it can really bring you back to the body in a very powerful yet very nurturing way, because the sound can really turn everything on. That's how I experienced it. That's how I've seen it in my clients, is that if you're feeling stuck or numb or overwhelmed or anxious or depressed, sound healing can bring in that flow of movement to kind of reconnect all parts of your body and to start to bring that flow back, and also to kind of work through things that are stuck. So if you do have a sound healing session or a sound bar, I always, you know, talk about this, that you will experience something afterwards. Maybe it's an emotional release. Maybe you will feel things bubbling up to the surface. Maybe you will, you know, have a complete aha moment or a new awareness. And it's going to bring things up because it's moving things in your body. It's moving energy. And that's a good thing. But it can also be that you might need more support around that. And I think this is also important because sound is very powerful. And I know that, you know, there are a lot of different ways in which we can now work with sound. There are lots of sound baths available, and it's kind of becoming more mainstream. And I really feel like it's important to say that if you do go, you know, to a group sound bath, that you will experience movement and you will experience something changing, and to be aware of that. Because I also think sometimes, because sound is considered so relaxing, you can think that you're just going to go into this peaceful state and then wake up and just feel really peaceful, which sometimes is true. But other times, if you're really feeling like, you know, you're in a place where there's a bit of disconnect, then it's going to start moving things for you. And I really feel like that's important for us as sound therapists to say and to communicate to people, because it is a very powerful healing modality, isn't it?
It is. I mean, what I always think there, I prefer really to have the sound therapy. I recommend everybody to really have it, especially when you have some things going on. Have it with a sound therapist, as you say, because otherwise it really, I think you need really the space where you are holding a space, where somebody holds the space for you, and where you also be able to speak about things which come up, and somebody who guides you through it, and it brings things up. But what I always felt is also when you do sound therapy or also other somatic therapies, what I feel, it's more the body only allows to bring things up which you can handle.
Yeah,
it's not other therapies. When you go to a psychologist, it can bring things up which is too much for you. But when you work over the body, when you work with sound therapy, when you work with somatic therapy, the body is quite kind. It will bring the things up, and you will be faced with things when there are traumas or anything is here, but it will be always be that you really can digest and that you can work slowly on it. But the problem is when you are in a general setting of a sound bath and you have perhaps dramas going on, and perhaps the person who is playing is not really a sound therapist, so you may not really have this safe space, and there may be sounds which are perhaps not ideal for you. So but when you have an experienced sound therapist like Gigi is, or like I am, or like a lot of artists are, who really work with the sound and know a bit about it, we really can also adjust things, and we can bring it in tune, like it's really harmonizing and not bringing too much up in a negative way.
Yeah, I totally, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because once you really understand sound and you have given a lot of sound therapy sessions, you start to also understand the energy of what's happening in the room. Because I
Yes.
give sound circles for women, but it's very intentional. Every time I hold a space, it's very intentional. And I'm checking in, I'm tuning in with people. How is it? How are they feeling about it? And there's something very amazing when you are in tune with sound. It's like a conversation, it gives you feedback. And when I'm creating a space for a group of women, it will be a very slow space, a very intentional, and I listen very deeply to the singing bowls and the feedback of how people are experiencing it. Because I think also when you're an intuitive, when you're sensitive, when you're an energy healer, you also feel it, don't you? We feel it when we tune in. We can feel into a room of how people are doing, and we can use that as a tool to really create a safe space that is not just playing something and just like music, you know. There's a deeper intentionality, isn't there, with the sound therapy, is that you're connected with the energy of everyone there, or the one person that you're working with, and you're working to listen to them and listening to the feedback, and then being able to support that. It's like you're having a conversation.
I mean, for me, it's like really what you said also before, is really when you work with people, it's really that you need to be able, and I think you need to be a therapist, if it's a sound or in another way for minimum a therapist, really to hold this safe space, like this container for the people, and really to feel it. Because I think it's when you work with the energies, and when you do the sound healing, you really you move energies, like the energy in the room, but the energy of the people and the energy of the community of the people. And you have really, it's like a mastering of the energies. You are really like, you're the master of this sound, of these frequencies in the room. And you have to be you have to really know what you're doing. And I feel a bit a tendency that there are a lot of people that they bought some singing bowls and they are banging them. I mean, it's nice, it's music, but they may not, most likely they are not really aware what they are doing. And it's like also some women's circle of things. When people don't hold the space, you have really to be able to hold the space for the people. And you really have to be able to, if somebody has reactions to it, which is perhaps a depression, a sadness, or a trauma triggering coming up, that you are able to help this person, to guide this person, to get the support for this person. And I think we both know it has more positive effects, but it can also trigger something. And to be prepared of this is really important, and really be responsible when working with energy.
I really feel that, and it's something that I'm very serious about. I've always been serious about the space. If you're going to hold a space, whether that's with one person or a group of people, that space is your responsibility to take care of the people in that space, and to make sure that, as you say, if something comes up, that you're able to work through that with the person, and to really be there with intention for healing. And I feel that is the most important piece, isn't it? Then we come back to intention. Intention is a frequency of its own. a healing frequency of its own. So if we're coming in to a one-to-one session or a group session with the intention to support the people, the person, through whatever healing they need, which is going to be for their highest, that is a really powerful frequency in itself. And I feel like the intentionality of things that are created and spaces that are created are really, really important. It's like the self-responsibility, taking responsibility for creating a space as a facilitator and then holding the space. That's how I feel about it. It's like there are two layers to that intentionality. And I find that to be, very powerful. And I can feel when someone is holding space for me that they have done that intentionality, or if they haven't.
Yes, I totally agree. And it should be normally, everybody should do it. Sadly, this not always happens. And sadly, the intentions are always not always good from some people. But I think if you do this, like you said, if you're responsible and if you set the intentions, and often it's also nice, and I'm sure you're doing this also, if you set an intention with the whole group when you do a group session, so that people, it's like it gets more powerful because people are just to this intention. So it's
especially their own personal intention. That is a really wonderful thing to invite people to do, because then that's a self responsibility for them as well, isn't it? Saying, this is what I want and I'm asking for that.
yes.
So it's empowering on lots of different levels, isn't it? Setting the intention for the space, setting the intention for the facilitation, and then people setting their own intention for whatever it is that they're feeling they want support with as well. It is it's a very beautiful and multi-layered experience, isn't it, when we do this healing work? And I think it's important to really have more conversations like this, because we're at this point now where there's a lot of healing needed, a lot of healing, of emotional healing especially, which sound healing, sound therapy is so supportive with, and is such a powerful tool. And I feel we need to have these conversations as facilitators around how we're holding space.
It's totally important. I totally agree with that. It's so, I mean, I think for even if you teach yoga or something, I think for everything, it's when you teach or when you facilitate something, it's so important really holding this space and setting the intention. I think even for everything we do, even if we do a work for ourselves, it's so much better and so much effective if we set an intention into it, because it really starts already with the intention. It starts moving something. Another thing what I also thought about is, if we are working with sound or with vibrations or with energy, is really to imagine that all what is, as said, Nada Brahma, all what is really sound and vibration frequency. And we have all what is built is made out of these atoms and smaller particles, and all is everything in moving. It's always changing, always moving. It's, as I said before, life is really in move. And as soon when something is dead, be it a plant, when a human died, if an animal died, if something is, it gets tense, it gets stuck, it stops moving. And as long as we can keep things in move, we keep things alive, we keep things healthy. And you said before something about like you see us like a map, and I see also like a human body is like a smaller cosmos. And between our nerves there is, we have several cycles in us. We have the cycle of the blood flow, we have the cycle of the air, we have the cycle of the lymphatic system. We have this various cycle, from between the organs. So all this is always in flow. And when we work with this, with sound therapy, when we work with frequency vibration, we are adjusting this. We are adjusting the heart rhythm. We are adjusting the flow, that all gets more regularly. It's not only getting unstuck, but it really gets, we bring the whole body system in harmony. And one of the ways which everybody perhaps who is new to sound, which you can really do something good for yourself, is by humming, which is a really great tool for your own physical healing. And normally what we do is we close the ears with our thumbs, we close the nose, the eyes, the mouth, and we just breathe through our nose and we hum. And we can do this for several minutes. We can lay down. I think most recommended is really you lay down, you close your eyes, you close your ears, and you really let this hum vibration in your body. And humming is really the first sound healing perhaps we can do on a very primitive level, but on a very, very effective level.
Yeah, I love that as a invitation to people who are listening, who are wanting to bring sound into into your daily practice, or to try it out as a tool. It really is so powerful, isn't it, to feel also the vibration of the hum in your heart, in your belly, and kind of intentionally move it through your body is very powerful. It's very powerful. And even, you know, just singing, I mean, even if you feel you're not a good singer, it doesn't matter. The sound of your voice is so expansive, isn't it? It's really, it helps to open up the internal voice as well. I always find that, you know, if you're overthinking, or if you're feeling stressed or anxious about things and you're just really in your head and worrying a lot, singing just kind of opens up and releases that kind of tension in your thoughts, in your brain. It's kind of like a reset of singing along to your favorite song, which I just find completely changes my energy. So singing as well, just go for it, let rip, even if you don't like the sound of your voice. It's so healing and empowering to really know that we have these tools available to us just all the time. Personally, you don't need to go out or see anyone else. You have these ways in which you can you know, support yourself and shift energy.
I mean, singing, dancing, and breathing, like really concentrated to have a good, it's the most important things what you can do, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Breathing, singing, dancing. Great. 3 combinations.
Yeah. This is also something what I feel is a lot of people are not aware about. I mean, really, we start to breathe wrong. Mostly, most people, they don't
Yeah.
breathe really healthy. And there is it's a beautiful story from, I mean, I spoke before from Saraswati, the goddess of speech, Vak. And there is a story about, so in yoga, perhaps you have heard about it, perhaps not, I explain it. So you have on the right nostril, we say we have the Pingala, which is the sun breath, which is the more warming breath. And on the left nostril, we have Ida, which is the moon breath. And so this two, and sometimes you can feel it, one when you close one nostril, you can feel one side is a bit cooler normally coming, and one side is a bit warmer air coming out. And in yoga, what we try is to harmonize them. And we do this normally with a closed mouth, and we just breathe to the nostrils, and we have like anulom breathing where we change from one side to the other, but it's really to harmonize it. And we speak about, when it's harmonized, we speak about from Sushumna Nadi. So this is Pingala Nadi, this is Ida Nadi, and the harmonization is Sushumna Nadi, which really is life force. But there is also a story. So Sushumna Nadi is also called Saraswati Nadi, and it's compared with the Saraswati River. And so you have the Ganga, and I have to think about which is the other one. So there are the Indus. So you have these 3 rivers in India, very big rivers. And Saraswati River is now underground. You cannot see it. And the same is with Sushumna Nadi. So it's normally we don't have access to it except when we really harmonize this. But Sushumna Nadi is the life force. So it's really important that we bring this life force to flow again. And if we do breath work with the sound therapy, so it's quite nice when you have sound therapy, when you really lay down and really also concentrate on your breathing. Or you can use it also alone as a therapy. But really to get this in flow, to get your breath in flow. And it helps with your voice. It helps with harmonization of your body. And it helps also with your mental health, because it gives a lot of clarity. And if we work with breath, we can also work with intention settings. We can use after the sound with it. And I just love this conversation, but I love also that it's really called also Saraswati Nadi. And it explains a lot when I mentioned before, like the meander, the Celtic patterns, or when we speak about Nada Brahma, all what was sound, or in the Bible, all what is the word. All of them, when you have a word, or when you have a speech, or when you sing, or when you, it's you use air. You use air in the flow. It's in the speech, it's air. It's the life force comes with us. So it's a very, very strong energy we work with. And really harmonizing this. And I mean, also with movement, we can harmonize in the movement. We can work with this. We shift energies. which are stuck around us in our astral and other bodies.
Yeah.
But it's all frequencies, it's all energy, it's all at the end sound.
Yeah. It's very inspiring, isn't it? How creative we can be with our bodies. Just you talking about doing those things together and bringing balance and using our breath and using the different sides of our, our nose, and we can be so creative. There's so many ways to bring balance and harmony that can be fun as well. And interesting. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it, how the body works? And you giving that as an example is fascinating for people who haven't heard about that before. And there's so many different ways in which we can enjoy, bringing balance to our lives, and it being this unfolding journey. I mean, I always think of, my experience with healing is this kind of adventure. It's like an unfolding of just these wonderful gifts that we realize that we have this ability to really take charge of ourselves and our lives, and to explore these things and these tools and these different ways of living and experiencing life. It's very inspiring. So I hope that this conversation has brought inspiration and a creative approach to health as well, and healing, which is really, I think, what we need right now. We need this kind of excitement for life and for vitality, because there's so much that's going on which is challenging and really, really difficult in the world. So yeah, I really appreciate, Jacqueline, for you sharing all of your wisdom and having this conversation with me today. And I really hope that everyone has enjoyed what it is that we've been sharing and talking about. And if you have any questions, you can let either of us know, or contact us, or comment below, because this will go on YouTube and all of different socials. I think it's a great conversation to be having, and to be opening up about the sound in particular, because I'm very passionate about it, and I'm sure you are as well, Jacqueline.
I am, and I really invite everybody to, if you have the chance, go to a sound therapist, really experience it. It's a wonderful experience. It's really worth to do it. And I thank everybody for being here, and I thank you, Gigi, for offering this platform for us. Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Thank you so much. There's so much to say, isn't there? But thank you. And may it continue that we share this wisdom with one another and together, and in community, and really open up those pathways for healing and for really enjoying our lives, because that is what I believe in the most, is that we have life, and it's such a gift, and let's enjoy that life and share it, and really experience it, and celebrate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.